Soiras lesed ale shoyno Toy fia halichos beisa Vilechem atzlus loy soichem
Five minutes after 6 a.m. Good morning, everybody. My name is Nachum Segal. Welcome to a Thursday. This is your Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program. Today is Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Today is a public fast day in our global community. And today begins our 3 weeks format. Slow and inspirational music here at JM in the AM. Coming up, Shlomo Katz, Charlie Harari, Rabbi Ari Khan, all part of this Shiva Asar B'Tammuz presentation here at JM in the AM.
ובמשכן מזבח עושים לקרני הוידות ולבובי משכן אבנה והדר כבוידות ובמשכן מזבח עושים לקרני הוידות ולעיני תמיד אקח לי אעשה שקדו ולקורבן אקריב לו אס נפשי היחידה להדר כבוידות ובמשכן מזבח עושים לקרני הוידות ובמשכן להדר משכן מזבח עושים לקרני הוידות ולעיני תמיד אקח לי אעשה שקדו ולקורבן אקריב לו אס נפשי היחידה ולעיני תמיד אקח לי אעשה שקדו ולקורבן אקריב לו אס es nafshi yechida.
Soy das Chesed Ali Shoino Toy Fia Halichos Beisa Ilechem Atzlus Loi Soichem Komu Moneo Mayashua Soy das Chesed Ali Shoino Soy Fia Halichos Beisa Ilechem Atzlus Loi Soichem Via Pasa Bechachma Soy das Chesed Ali Shoino Alichois Beisa Belechem Atzlus Loi Soichem
Kamu voneho vayashruho Ba'alo vayechalelo Rabois bonois osu choyim V'yatolis al kulono Yo 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 yekamu voneho vayashruho Ba'alo vayechalelo Rabois bonois osu choyim V'yatolis al kulono
V'shem avoisai, v'shem avoisai, Avraham ve'Yitzchak, ve'yigdul ha'rayim, ve'yigdul ha'rayim, b'kerev ha'aretz. Malach hagoyei loisi, Malach hagoyei loisi mikol ra, yivorech es haniyarim, yikorei bohem shemi. Malach hagoyei loisi, Malach hagoyei loisi mikol ra, yivorech es haniyarim, yikorei bohem shemi.
Shema hoysa, Shema hoysa, Aharon ve'Yitzchak, v'yigdul ha'rayim, v'yigdul ha'rayim, b'kerev ha'aretz. Oy, 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 v'shema hoysa, Shema hoysai, Aharon ve'Yitzchak, v'yigdul ha'rayim, v'yigdul ha'rayim, b'kerev ha'aretz.
Avinu avorachamo, Amirachem rachem aleinu. 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 Zakeinu Lekabe Shabbosoi Midai V'lai Simcha U'midai Hashem B'chavoi U'midai Chmiyutavoi Zakeinu Lekabe Shabbosoi Midai V'lai Simcha U'midai Hashem B'chavoi U'midai Chmiyutavoi Seimonu Yetzetoi Leyotecha Beyemet Leyotecha Beyemet U'v'yira
JM in the AM. We're calling it our Shiva Tammuz special. And I welcome all of you around the world who are tuned in. We have a big day today, a real Shiva Tammuz special because of the lineup that we're going to be featuring. And in addition to that, we are being carried live by our friends at World Mizrahi. You can find it either on youtube.com/World Mizrahi. Again, youtube.com/World Mizrahi, or by visiting the special 3 weeks video on demand site, Mizrahi.org/3 weeks. That's 3 weeks spelled out, THREEWEEKS, Mizrahi.org/3 weeks. And click on the JM and the AM Shiva Tammuz special, and you'll be able to see it live right now. So those are a couple of options about how you can see our special. The special will include, and this is why it's called a special, because Shlomo Katz, Rabbi Ari Khan, and Charlie Harari will all be participating with us this morning between now and 9 o'clock Eastern Time. In terms of what you'll be able to see, it's only me inside our studio here in New York City. So that's what you'll be able to see. But obviously, if you log in through any of our broadcast avenues, or if you go to youtube.com/World Mizrahi or Mizrahi.org/3 weeks, spelled out 3 weeks, and click on the JM the AM Show Asar B'Talmud special, you'll be able to hear and see what's going on a Thursday morning at the JM in the AM. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on here. And I thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank those who've been supporting us here at JM in the AM by going to the fjbunity.org site, fjbunity.org, and it is much appreciated. Listener Murray, who's been an amazing and incredible friend of ours, gave us a very generous donation last night, and I thank him. Listener Leo donated last night in honor of Mayor Weingarten. I thank you for that. See what else we have here. Listener Suri, a twice high donation in honor of Nachum Segal. Much appreciated. That came in last night. And listener Judy, a repeat donation of $18 to thank Avrami Finkelstein for playing a request on each show, for Mark's Erev Shabbos show for playing Micha Gamerman and Eitan Freilich and the Portnoy brothers, the continued success of the NSN to spread Jewish music and news and present Rabbi Yudin and Harry Rothenberg weekly. And I thank you for that. If you want to support us, it's fjbunity.org, fjbunity.org. And again, I thank everybody. Tomorrow on an Erev Shabbos, on a Friday edition of JM in the AM, we will in fact have, as we have every Friday, Harry Rothenberg in the 7 o'clock hour and Rabbi Yudin in the 8 o'clock hour, all about Parshas Pinchas for this week. Because today is Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, we'll read a different Haftorah than Parshas Pinchas this Shabbos. Once Parshas Pinchas is read after Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, the first of the 3 sad Haftorahs are read, and that means that the Haftorah designated for Parshas Matos will be read this Shabbos, the first of the 3 sad Haftorahs, the one for Matos, the one for Maseh, and then, of course, the one for Dvarim, which is Shabbos Chazon, or the Haftorah that starts with the word Chazon. Thursday morning broadcast, JM in the AM with 75 degrees, sunshine in New York and a high of 87, partly cloudy tonight, low 74, and tomorrow rain, high Friday of 80 degrees. Yerushalayim is at 80 right now. We're at 75 here in New York City as we say good morning at JM in the AM. I hope your fast is going fast and is going well so far. Here in this part of the world, it's a long fast day. I think our friends in Australia, if I'm not mistaken, have a pretty short fast day today, where we're used to on Asar B'Teves, they've got now. But anyway, for us here in the New York area, relatively long, even longer in some other places. And I thank you for joining us on this Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. The Shiva Asar B'Tammuz special, again, will welcome Shlomo Katz, Charlie Harari, Rabbi Ari Khan to our broadcast between now and 9 a.m. You can listen through any of our regular listening, any of the methods that you normally use to listen to us here at the Nachum Segal Network. Plus today, this morning, courtesy of our friends at World Mizrahi, we are on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/World Mizrahi, youtube.com/World Mizrahi. And you can also visit the 3 weeks video on demand site, Mizrahi.org/3 weeks, all spelled out, THREE, Mizrahi.org/3 weeks. Click on the JM Name Show Asar B'Tammuz special, and you will see everything live as we speak. More coming up. It is a Thursday morning edition of JM in the AM. We're hoping your fast is going well so far. Thanks for tuning in. Here's Kol Ish.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra v'yein nasa b'chefso kol hazay mela shemo nikra Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra V'achareyo Kiklot HaKol Levado Yiloch Nora V'hu haya V'hu hove V'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra V'achareyo Kiklot HaKol Levado Yiloch Nora V'hu haya V'hu hove V'hu yeh b'tifara V'hu echad v'yein sheni Lehamshilo Lehachbira B'li reshit B'li tachlit V'lo haoz V'ham Yisrael V'ham Yisrael V'yacharei O kiklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu haya O v'hu hoveh V'hu yeh b'tifara O v'yacharei O kiklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu haya O v'hu hoveh V'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra V'achareyo Kiklot HaKol Levado Yiloch Nora V'hu haya V'hu hove V'hu yeh b'tifara B'yado Akid Ruchli V'yeti shan v'ya'ira V'im Ruchi G'viyati Hashem li v'lo ira
משמיים וריאי, כי היינו לך בקלס בגויים. נחשבנו כסוין, לטבח יובל, להרוי גולי הבית, ולמכו ולחרפו, הבית. משמיים וריאי, כי היינו לך בקלס בגויים. נחשבנו כצאן, לטבח יובל, להרוי גורי הבית, ולמכו ולחרפו.
ובכל זויס, ובכל זויס, ובכל זויס, שמך לא ישכחנו. ובכל זויס, שמך לא ישכחנו. אוי נו אל תשכחנו. Mishamayim Uriyei Hihoyinu Lakokeles Bagoyim Nishavu Katsoi Natevachru Vol Laharoi Guliyabei Ulemako Ulechepo Mahabei Mishamayim Uriyei Hihoyinu Lakokeles Bagoyim Shavu katzoi lahatevach yuvo laharoi guliyabei ulemako ulecherbo ulechol zois ulechol zois ulechol zois shimcha loi sholchachnu Ubechal zois, shim chaloi shachachnu, oino al tishkocheinu. Ubechal zois, ubechal zois, ubechal zois, shim chaloi shachachnu. Ubechal zois, shim chaloi shachachnu, oino al tishkocheinu. Ha-ha-beit, ha-ha-beit, shiny lechiki im lo yeskineichi im lo yales Yerushalayim al roi sim shiny lechiki im lo yeskineichi Im lo yales Yerushalayim Al roi sim fosim It batli shayni lechiti Ilo yeskirei Ilo yales Yerushalayim Al roi The little bird is calling, he wishes to return. The little bird is wounded, he cannot fly but yearns. He's captured by the vultures and is crying bitterly. Oh, to see my nest again. Oh, to be with thee. The little bird of silver, so delicate and rare, still chirps among the vultures, outshining all that's there. How long it suffers, how long will it be? When will come the eagle and set the little bird free? La 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 The little bird is Yisroel, the vultures are our foe. The painful wound is Godless, which we all feel and know. The nest is the base Hamikdash, which we yearn to see once more. And the eagle is Mashiach, whom we are waiting for. Yes, the nest is the base Hamikdash, which we yearn to see once more. And the eagle is Mashiach, whom we are waiting for.
ונשמעסי וסבילסי מן החיציינים תנצל נפשי ורוחי ונשמעסי וסבילסי מן החיציינים
That is our Shiva Tammuz special, if you will, here on a JM in the AM Thursday. And I thank you for tuning in. A lot of material off of the Suki and Ding Jerusalem album done for the 3 weeks. Avrami Flam with some of the selections you heard before that here at JM in the AM. Thursday morning on this 9th of July. It's the 17th of Tammuz. Not only is it the fast of the 17th of Tammuz, and I hope your fast is going fast and well, and that it's inspiring. But in addition, it's also the first day of the 3 weeks. Today, the 3 weeks begin. We go until Tisha B'Av, until Erev Shabbos Nachamu on the final day of July. And I thank you for spending your Shabbat Shabbat with us. People like Shlomo Katz in just a few minutes, Charlie Harari in the 8 o'clock hour, Rabbi Ari Khan in the 8 o'clock hour are going to be joining us for our Shiva Shabbat special here at JM and the AM. Also, in addition to all the Nachum Segal Network options of listening in and being part of this radio experience, on top of that, we're being carried right now by World Mizrahi at the following 2 locations. You can hear us and watch us by going to youtube.com/World Mizrahi. youtube.com/World Mizrahi. You could also go to mizrahi.org/3 weeks. That's spelled out THREE. Mizrahi.org/3 weeks, and then click on the JM and the AM Shavasar B'Tammuz special. And you'll see us live from our New York City studios on this fast day. The Power of Youth presents the Jewish Lego Masters. Jewish Lego Masters rebuild the world. 13 families are facing off live in a competition of who is the next Jewish Lego Master. It's July 9th today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It's empowering Jewish kids worldwide to shine creatively. And you'd go to YouTube and search Jewish Lego Master, 4 p.m. today Eastern Time. I don't have a less complicated address than that, frankly. It's America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listener-sponsored digital radio, round the world on the web at NachumSegal.com and the Nachum Segal Network, and, of course, on the beloved NSN app. This portion of NSN programming brought to you by our friends at A&H. Abel's and Hyman Kosher Hot Dog Sausage and Deli is the world's best. Available now at every Trader Joe's nationwide and at kosherdogs.net. Kosherdogs.net, where you can enjoy a 10% discount with promo code radio. Keep that in mind. Galei Tzahal in the background. Galei Tzahal, Israel Army Radio, 2 p.m. newscast for a Thursday next. Boker Tov, easy fast from JMN.
גלי צה"ל השעה 2, שלום רב, כאן אילם אסמאעילוב ומה שקורה עכשיו. מנהלי קופות החולים בקריאה נגד הוראת שר הבריאות אדלשטיין לביצוע בדיקות גם בקרב אזרחים שלא פיתחו תסמינים. בוועדה לענייני קורונה שנערכה בכנסת לפני זמן קצר, טען מנכ"ל קופת חולים לאומית ניסים אלון כי הבדיקות מיותרות ומייצרות עומס רב.
מי שנחשף לחולה חיובי ואין לו סימפטומים, לפי הנחיות משרד הבריאות, הוא לא זכאי לבדיקה. העובדה שאמר השר, לכו להיבדק, מבלבל את הציבור. זה יצא לנו גידול בביקושים של 400%.
ובתוך כך כתבתנו ליה ספילקין מעדכנת כי 1,231 נדבקים חדשים בנגיף קורונה אובחנו אתמול, ובנוסף נרשמה עלייה במספר החולים המונשמים. ברקע ההגבלות החדשות למיגור התפרצות הקורונה בישראל, בשירות התעסוקה מדווחים על זינוק במספר המפוטרים במשק. שיעור האבטלה נכון לעכשיו עומד על 21%, שהם כ-850,000 בני אדם. ידיעה שהעבירה כתבתנו ניב יגור. המועצה להשכלה גבוהה אישרה את מתווה הבחינות באקדמיה. עד 10% מהמבחנים התקיימו בקמפוסים. כתבנו לענייני חינוך דורון קדוש שהביא את הפרטים, מוסר שלכל מוסד תינתן אפשרות הבחירה מהן הבחינות שידרשו נוכחות בכיתות. השר להשכלה גבוהה זאב אלקין ברך על ההחלטה.
אני שמח שהצלחנו ביחד להתגבש להצעה שעברה פה אחד, הצעה שמצד אחד שומרת על בריאותם של הסטודנטים ובני משפחותיהם לפי דרישות משרד הבריאות, ומצד שני מאפשרת למוסדות להשכלה גבוהה במסגרת החופש האקדמי שלהם לבנות מחדש את לוח הבחינות.
רשות האוכלוסין וההגירה תרחיב את האישור לכניסת עובדים זרים בתחום הסיעוד בתקופת הקורונה. נוכח מצוקת המטופלים הסיעודיים, אישר היום שר הפנים אריה דרעי את הרחבת המתווה, שיכלול גם כניסת עובדים חדשים שיגיעו למטופלים בעלי היתר העסקה. חשד לפשע שנאה על רקע לאומני באזור אריאל. נזקים התגלו על מספר כלי רכב בכפר לובן השרקיה. כתבנו שחר גליק.
על פי הדיווח נוקבו גם גלגלי אוטובוס כשעליו רוסס מגן דוד אדום עם הכיתוב ניקח גורלנו בידינו. המשטרה נערכת לכניסה לכפר לצורך חקירת האירוע. בתגובה מארגון תג מאיר נמסר, כוחות הביטחון של מדינת ישראל לא עוצרים את פעילי הטרור, שמקום מושבם ידוע ופעילותם מתועדת.
קריס פרום, הנחשב לאחד מרוכבי האופניים הטובים בהיסטוריה, חתם בקבוצת הרכיבה הישראלית, ישראל סטארט-אפ ניישן. מדווח כתבנו אורן פדידה.
הבריטי בן ה-35, שזכה 4 פעמים בטור דה פרנס, חתם בקבוצה הישראלית של המיליארדר היהודי-קנדי סילבן אדמס, והצטרף לשורותיה בעונה הבאה. הוא צפוי להרוויח 5 מיליון אירו בעונה. במעמד החתימה אמר פרום כי הוא נלהב להצטרף למסע של הקבוצה, ובטוח שיחווה עוד רגעים היסטוריים.
בהצלחה לפרום, מזג האוויר נאה עם ירידה קלה בטמפרטורות. אלה החדשות שעורך אלעזר בן לולו.
JM in the AM, our news from Israel on this Thursday morning, Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, and I thank you for joining us. It is our Shiva Asar B'Tammuz special. Last night, our wonderful friend Murray Halpern in addition to contributing a very generous amount at fjbunity.org, which he always does. He and the Halpern family always supporting us and encouraging us to go forward and to keep growing here at JM and the AM and the Nachum Segal Network. He mentioned during the or in the dedication of the donation that today, Shivasar B'Tammuz 5780 would be the 100th birthday of the amazing Sam Halpern, the great survivor, the great philanthropist, the great Jewish leader, whose name lives on in so many ways throughout the global Jewish community. And I just wanted to make sure to mention it, to pay tribute, and to acknowledge that today Shivasar B'Tammuz would have been Sam Halpern's 100th birthday. And in tribute to him and his memory, Murray recommended this track from Sam Halpern's album called Menucha V'Simcha here at JM in the AM.
Simchu Ola Idem Yoy Shabuson Yovoy Machmadim Shoim Rovei Zoychro Taimu Meidem Kile Shishu Kobriyam Veyamdim Shemay Shemayim Mirat Veyamem Kotsu Moron Kiboy Vorumem Tanam Yudon V'chayas Raimim Kibiyodna Tiralumim Yashav Diba Yam Tegeluche Shemavakat Shemavoy V'taisoi Shabbos Kodesh Yem Chamdusoi Kiva Shuvas Mekol Melachoi L'mitzvah Shabbos Eliach Yitzov Kim Kiru Ailem V'sleim Tov Nishmat Kol Chav Gam Naritzo Echom Simchukot Rutzo V'mishne Lechem V'kedesh ובראש מתן ובריח נתיב ויסתי לרב טוב תנן בו ויגוי לך ומבוא. Okay.
In memory of the great Sam Halpern, who would have been 100 years old today on Shivasar B'Tammuz, and we remember him fondly, and we do that selection, which was his selection, in honored memory of the great Sam Halpern here at JM in the AM. More coming up, including Shlomo Katz and more. It's a Shivasar B'Tammuz special, and you're listening to JM in the AM.
Yachziluvni, avodas vaysamigdos liim koimo. Oy oy, yuvu rachmon, yuvu rachamon. Yachziluvni, avodas vaysamigdos liim koimo. Lim mehaylu, lim mehaylu, lim mehaylu veyumayni. Lim mehaylu veyumayni, umayselu. Rachman, Rachamon, Yachziluvni, Avodas Vaysamigdos, Liim Koimo, Bim Mehaylo, Eyumayni, Bim Mehaylo, Eyumayni, Umayselo, Yachziluvni, avodas vaysamigdos liim koimo. Oy oy, yuvu rachmon, yuvu rachamon. Yachziluvni, avodas vaysamigdos liim koimo. Lim mehaylu, lim mehaylu, lim mehaylu veyumayni. Lim mehaylu veyumayni, umayselu. Rachman, Rachamon, Yachziluvni, Avoidas by Samidos, Lim Koimo. Bimehayro, hey you mighty. Bimehayro, hey you mighty. My selo, Yaraini, Bebin, the Samhaini, Besikino, Yaraini, Bebin, the Samhaini, Besikino, Yoshai, Koyanim, Navidusam, Milevim, the Shiva, Milazim, Yoshai, Islovanim, Islovanim, the Shom, Naleven, I do, and 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 the Stafel, Funetu, Shulo, Spamai, the Gulaini, and the Stafel, Funetu, Shulo, Spamai, the Gulaini, the Yaraini, Bebin, the Samhaini. Besikino, Yaraini, Bebin, the Samhaini, Besikino, Yoshai.
JM in the AM, we're calling it a Shiva Tammuz special. Always seems strange to me to attach the word special to a day like Shiva Tammuz, but I think it gets the point across media-wise of what we're doing here this morning. And people like Charlie Harari and Rabbi Ari Khan are going to be joining us later on. I told you that in the 7 o'clock hour, we'd be joined by the incredible Shlomo Katz. He's standing by. We'll get to him in a moment. I just want to remind everybody that in addition to all the traditional methods with which you could listen to JM the AM this morning, our friends at World Mizrahi have also provided a YouTube link, youtube.com/World Mizrahi. You can actually see what's going on here in the NSN studios. Pretty boring, frankly, but hey, there's a visual at least, and certainly you could hear the show. youtube.com/World Mizrahi. And also, you could go to the special 3 weeks video on demand site, mizrahi.org/3 weeks, and that is spelled out, THREE, mizrahi.org/3 weeks. Click on the JM and the AM Shiva Tammuz special, and you will experience us live on your computer, phone, etc. The amazing Shlomo Katz, who's been with us, Baruch Hashem, more often than not recently because of his project of releasing 40 songs in honor of his 40th birthday. In fact, we love having him on the air so much, we wish it would have been 80 songs in honor of his 40th birthday, but okay, we'll settle for the 40. He actually has converted, let's put it that way, one of his most recent songs into an a cappella version so that we can discuss the topic and hear the selection on this Shiva Tammuz special. Shlomo Katz, a pleasure to welcome you back to JM in the AM.
Nachum, shalom aleichem. Thank you so much. Feels like home.
I appreciate that. We want people like you. We want people like you to feel like home here.
Thank you. Thank you, Nachum.
And you are actually physically home because you are in Eretz Yisrael. You're in the city of Efrat. It's the afternoon for those people who, who think that they're having a rough time listening in and having fasted till 7:15 a.m. You're already deep into the middle of today's fast day.
Oh, sometimes when I finish a fast day here, I'll just leave a voice note on my brother's. I'm just like, chowing down something. Yeah, just to
now, Shlomo, in the spirit of Bein Adam L'Chavero, is that a? I know, I'm kidding around, but I was wondering if that's a good strategy for the 3 weeks. to taunt those of us who are still fasting while you might already be eating later tonight. Anyway, look, I mean, the 3 weeks. This is a golden opportunity for people to keep in mind. It sort of reminds me of specific days that we designate on both the Jewish and secular calendar to commemorate certain things, because obviously there's certain themes that are year round, but certain periods of time and certain days give us an opportunity to simply emphasize those things and really check that we are doing what we can to improve in those areas. And with that in mind, you released a song recently which is so so on target with the theme of the 3 weeks, and you've actually converted it, as we said, into an a cappella selection. Tell us a little bit about Hareini, the most recent song in the 40th birthday of Rabbi Shlomo Katz.
I never did this before. I never actually had an a cappella song, and I was very intrigued by this opportunity that we have. How can we pull it? How can we pull this off, and not do it with mouth drum beats and everything, but just give over the niggin for itself. So this song is very close to my heart because it came out from learning. We spent a number of summers ago. We spent the summer learning about the mitzvah of Avat Yisrael. The mitzvah itself. What is the mitzvah all about? And what we do here in our Chabura is that after we finish learning something, to really give it like a really good, feeling of, I have this, I have everyone write a tefillah based on what they learned. And somehow when you write a tefillah based on what you learn, it's like the pasuk, Ve'adata hayom v'hashevosa el vavecha. You have das, you learn something, but if you daven over it, v'hashevosa el vavecha, that das, that information that you acquired, it really does go into your heart. And we put together a small booklet of the tefillahs of our Chabura about Ahavat Yisrael. And we're actually from 4 p.m. our time, I guess by you it's 9 a.m.
9 o'clock.
9 a.m. we are publishing every day a daily tefillah written by one of our chevra, one from the Chabura, on the ShlomoKatzProject.com. We're publishing every day now during the 3 weeks a tefillah, a modern day tefillah about Ahavat Yisrael. So the main theme of the learning was, why did the Arizal institute to begin davening by saying, Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha.
Which means in English,
behold, I take upon myself the positive commandment to love thy neighbor like I love myself. And according to the Kabbalist Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, who was alive in the 16th century, the Arizal, that's how you begin prayers. That's like the gateway to start your daily prayers. That's actually what's inscribed on his grave, on his monument, on his grave, this statement, this saying.
Wow.
And it was so intriguing. Chabad actually does this because they daven, their nusach is Tehillat Hashem, they daven nusach Arizal. It's written in their siddur. But that's how you start davening. I take upon myself mitzvah to say, to love every person.
So this song is the song to those words.
Absolutely.
The reason
I davened for a while to Hashem to get a nigun, to receive a song to those words.
The reason I'm saying it like that is because and I'm being serious about this, I'm not trying to joke around. If in fact the people that you learn with are writing tefillot on this theme, I mean, in all seriousness, not trying to be funny, are any of those tefillot, what you would call, equal to or as good as that tefillah, the Hareini that you just sung about, that you're about to sing about for us?
I would like to believe so.
I mean,
yes. Why can't I say yes? Yeah.
No, I'm
sure.
The reason I'm surprised is because, when tefillot like that are written by, great Torah giants, we always think they have a certain level of credibility and deepness and depth, I should say. But I guess what you're saying is that, hey, somebody who puts their mind to it and really feels it can actually write a high-quality tefillah. We
have a whole section on our webpage where I basically try to explain to people the art of writing your own tefillah and how it's such a necessity in today's day and age to connect to what we learn. So our chevra here are a little bit more, in Hebrew you say miyuman, they're a bit more trained in that area, but it's very intimidating. It's like, what, you want me to be David HaMelech?
Right.
Well,
right. That's why that's what, surprises me, frankly. Also, I think, and I'm sure there are going to be people not agreeing with me, those in the diaspora, but it just seems to me that these types of activities, like writing a tefillah for a, again, excuse the term, an average layman, is much easier in Eretz Yisrael. Am I right about that, or is that just me talking from thousands of miles away?
I don't know. I have to think about that. I don't know.
Although you've probably
tefillahs sent in from people that limit us online, actually send in their tefillahs too. But maybe it's more. Maybe it just comes out a bit more natural when you're home.
Although the truth is, when you go to Kivrei Tzadikim in places outside of Israel, you probably also are inspired in certain ways. You've probably written some of your best work just sitting in those areas frankly, next to those cemeteries, right? I mean, yes.
In a weird way, yeah. It sounds pretty strange, but yeah. Look, the Eish Kodesh, the Holy Piasetzner Rebbe said that every single emotion that you feel, no matter what it is, don't label it, just accept it, because it's a maftach l'neshama. It's a key to your soul. You get to find out who you are. So we're very big on just taking advantage of any moment of inspiration and see what lies beneath it.
Yeah, I hear
You'll never know. You never know what's lying beneath it,
I hear that. All right, I got to get back to I have so many questions I want to ask you on this now, but I got to get back to the topic. Otherwise, it won't really be a Shiva Surbatama special. But one day I will ask you which Kfarim you make sure to visit when you are in Israel. All right, so if this, of course, is the beginning of the 3 weeks and an additional focus, and as we get closer to the 9 days, and of course the commemoration of the Churban, the destruction of the temple, we think even more and more and more about the whole issue of Ahavat Yisrael and Beidan L'Chavero and being Dan L'Kav Zchus, Ahavat Chinam, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So is it, I mean, do you get the impression that it is sort of a process like that, as I said earlier, that these days are reminders for us about this very important topic, which needs to be really on our minds all year round, but these days give us an opportunity to focus more on it. And now on Shabbat Shabbat on the very first day of the 3 weeks, the first day of this period of time leading up to the Churban, where again our tradition tells us that unfortunately our own hatred for each other had such a role in that. Do you think that this fast has a lot to do with getting into that mood? Has a lot to do with setting up the inspiring platform that we're going to be on for the next few weeks?
Absolutely. I think that anything that Chazal has instituted, even if it's something that I should be doing anyway, just like you said, I should already be having the Churban and Ahavat Chinam, and I should have all those things already under my belt every day.
Right.
But when Chazal come and they put their gushpank, they put their mark on it, then the days themselves are that much more powerful and are that much more open to do the work that we need to do. So 1,000,000%. And it is this kind, and this year, I mean, it's so funny. I feel like every summer we say, oh my God, and this year it's different than every other year.
Right. But this year is really different.
Right. I think it's okay. I think it's safe to say that that's probably going to be said with a lot more authenticity than any other year that I've been alive for.
No question about it. The great Shlomo Katz with us. By the way, in all seriousness, one of the big differences for a lot of people is that that many people who live in the diaspora are in Jerusalem at some point during the 3 weeks, and many are never outside Jerusalem on Tisha B'Av itself. And of course, that those of us who have made sure to make that a practice now are paying the price, because we cannot travel to Jerusalem, and it's going to be a very different Tisha B'Av for those who are normally in Israel, and it will now be, in cities around this country and the world.
Very different. I actually have a lot of recollections being with you in the summer in Eretz Yisrael.
That's right.
Over the years.
That's right.
It's very, very different. It's something that, again, none of us could have ever expected. And we have to just really tune in deep and kind of stop thinking that we have to know the answer to everything, and be open and vulnerable enough to say, Ribono Shel Olam, please make it a little bit clear what it is exactly you want.
Yeah.
Just a bit clearer, just a little bit.
All right, I got to do this. So you'll let me know if you have to run, because I never could let go of you. But I want to do this song with you on the phone. It's pretty short, so we can get right to it. But I just the comparison I always make, and I think you said this you were saying this toward the beginning of our conversation today. The comparison I always make is that there are many people, myself included, who are wired in a way that when they need to internalize something, really understand it, a lecture, a shiur, something that people are explaining to me, they got to write it down. And once they write it down, it is really because, it's there on paper, line by line. It's much easier for someone like myself to understand it, to repeat it, to chop it, so to speak. And it seems that is what you're saying about putting music or any tune to a tefillah, that once you've put it to a tefillah, now that you can repeat Hareini, which we're about to play, over and over and over, where it's not just a line, not minimizing how important it is to use it as a line in tefillah itself, but it's not just a line, but something that really, you know what it's like. You know what it's like. You've probably had kumsitzin where the same song goes on for 45 minutes, I would bet.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So when you have an opportunity to take something like this, which is so meaningful and such an important reminder for us, and just do it over and over in one's head and do it over and over out loud, it really helps to just develop an appreciation for it. Anyway,
1,000,000%. It actually becomes you. That's the point. Is that how people say you are what you eat? No. You are what you pray. You are what you daven. That you are what you learn. It becomes, the tefillah becomes your essence. In today's day and age, everyone always asks people, okay, what do you do? And we always answer, the answer is, well, how do I make money?
Right, that defines us, right.
Right, but can you imagine if, what do I do? Yeah, I make money by doing that, but that doesn't define me. Mm-hmm. What defines me, I'm someone that wakes up in the morning and accepts upon himself the mitzvah to say to love every Jew.
Right. All right.
That was the framework.
Right.
Wow.
Amazing. All right. Let's get to this, because otherwise I'm gonna make you stay here all day. Okay. Here it is. Hareini a cappella version. The great Shlomo Katz on our telephone line. Shiva B'Tammuz special. You're listening to JM in the AM.
הריני מקבל עליי מצוות עשה של ואהבת לרעך כמוך הריני מקבל עליי מצוות עשה של ואהבת לרעך כמוך חברים כל ישראל חברים כל ישראל חברים כל ישראל הריני מקבל עליי חברים כל ישראל חברים כל ישראל חברים כל ישראל הריני מקבל עליי
Well, first of all, based on that recording, you have to make more a cappella selections for us. That's number one. Secondly, I mean, you obviously agree. I mean, you could just sing that over and over and over, for 40.
It's a very, yeah. That one you could really go over. We start by our shul in Efrat. That's how we start davening every Shabbos, the whole Kehillah.
How many
I shouldn't
minutes?
say the whole Kehillah, whoever shows up.
Right, whoever's there at that time. How many minutes does that last? How long does that last?
I don't know. I'll time it this Shabbos. I don't know.
I mean, does it last 3 to 5 minutes? Like, is it a real?
It could.
Wow.
You could go over. You're right. This is one of the nigunim that it really is. Some nigunim, it's okay. You sing it once and
right.
It does the job. You're right. This one really is like a yalla. Ot pam ve'ot pam ve'ot pam.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I will let you go, but you got to answer this question for me. When you're driving in the car, when you're spending time with yourself, frankly, and you're deep in thought, what so? And I know the answer is many of them and a lot of them. I get that. But give me one that's often in your head that you're often singing to yourself over. It doesn't have to be your song; it could be anybody's song. But something that you'll find yourself, oh my gosh, I've actually been just singing that for the last 20 minutes, or having it go over in my head for the last 20 minutes. What would be a good example?
Eitan Katz, Karva.
The new one?
I just told this. It's the funniest thing. Just 2 days ago, I left a voicemail. I said, "This is the weirdest thing. I can't stop. I'm trying to stop. It's not. I can't get out of my head." Yeah.
You better tell him.
But you know what? It's part of the times. Karva el nafshi ge'ala. Yeah, I'm getting closer. We're getting closer. We're all getting closer.
You better tell him. You better tell him to make an a cappella version of that for us.
Yeah, I'll tell him. I'll tell him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
All right.
that's recently. That's the recent answer. Yeah.
All right.
But you know what? The truth is, in the past, if I think about it, there's definitely been a lot of moments where Rabbi's sons had a few nigunim that I'll sit in the car and I hear in my mind, I hear just over and over again, I don't know if you remember that song. It's one of their.
Oh, yes.
I
knew the Rabbi's Sons LPs by heart.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, such great material. People don't even realize there's a lot of great stuff out there. I wish the younger people.
Amazing stuff.
I wish they'd go back to the old days and explore some of that era. Just incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So the bottom line is, and here's and it's the reason you're on today. The bottom line is, if you want to make and enhance your Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, your 3 weeks, your 9 days, and really sprinkle in a heavy dose of Yahavta L'Reacha Kamocha. The prayer of Harani in the song is fantastic, but just be more aware of it and make sure that during this period of time, we pay much more attention to how we need to feel about our fellow Jew. Simple as that.
And to be open enough to admit that maybe I just don't know how to do it that well, and invite Hashem into that place of saying, I need more help in this department.
I want to end with telling you. I want to tell you something. We always talk about one of the classic examples, let's say, of friction in the Jewish world, and you know this much better, of course, because you live in Israel, is the whole discussion about religious Jews, non-religious Jews, how they get along, not get along, the army issue, et cetera, et cetera. And when I would mention this to my father, who of course lived in Palestine from 1919 to 1936, he would say to me, in those days, if I could describe, and I won't do it on the air right now because out of context, it's a terrible discussion. If I could describe to you the hatred between the groups in that era, in that even the pre-state era and the beginning of the state era, if I could describe to you the actual things that went on and the way people physically treated each other and each other's property, you would be horrified. As terrible as you think things are today, they are worlds better. And as a Jewish world, he would say to me, I know it's hard for you to believe this, but I've seen a lot more of this world. In the context of history, in the context of these decades, we are all, both sides, so much better at this topic. So don't be discouraged. We've made great progress, and we can make even more progress. And
that's important.
Yeah, it's certainly
that's important to hear. I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll share some details with you off the air. All right. An easy fast. Thanks so much for joining us. Continued success. I'm assuming that we're days away from yet another new niggin if we're going to stick to this 40-40 schedule, right?
No, we're 3 weeks away because I'm not putting out anything new until Motzei Tisha B'Av. Yeah, but then it's going to hit us week after week for Hashem a long time.
Yeah, the floodgates will open. Shlomo, Toda Rabba.
Big hug, Nachum. Kol tov. Bye-bye.
Kol tov. There he is, the great Shlomo Katz. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thursday morning broadcast. It is a JM and the AM. We call it a Shiva Asar B'Tammuz special, and already it's turning into a real Shiva Asar B'Tammuz special. As much as I don't like attaching the word special to Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Our friends at World Mizrahi have us at youtube.com/World Mizrahi. youtube.com/World Mizrahi. You could also go to Mizrahi.org/3 weeks. Spell it out. THREE. Mizrahi.org/3 weeks. If you click on the JM name Shiva Asar B'Tammuz special, then you will see it and hear it live as well. So you have a couple of options there of how to deal with watching and listening. In the 8 o'clock hour, Charlie Harari is scheduled. Rabbi Ari Khan is scheduled. Yeah, we're serious about the Shiva Asar B'Tammuz special. We're trying to inspire as many people as possible today, frankly, here at JM and the AM and the Nachum Segal Network. Rabbi David, speaking of inspiring, Rabbi David Goldwasser's words, Zecher Nishmas Harav Zev ben Rabbi Yosef Halevi and Zecher Nishmas Esther Bas Rabbi Yosef Halevi. Here is Rabbi David Goldwasser with Morning Chizuk.
Good morning. The great Rosh Yeshiva of Simcha Wasserman asks, why do we say Bonei Yerushalayim? It's in the present tense. It should be Yibane Yerushalayim, in the future tense, that Yerushalayim will be built. We also read in the Tefillah, Hamachzeh Shchinaso L'Tzion, that Hashem returns the divine presence to Tzion. It should be in the Lashon Asid, in the future tense, not in the present tense. We should know that all of the long, difficult road of the Golus, the exile, is the beginning of Binyan Yerushalayim, the building of Yerushalayim. The Das Zikanim explains, Baruch Atah Basodeh, blessed are you in the field. This is Tzion, like it says, Tzion Soda Techaresh. Tzion is a field, and it will be plowed. It doesn't say Techarev, it'll be destroyed, but rather it'll be plowed. The reason is because when a plow hits the land, it's one of the steps of Zriya, of the future seeding and growth of the land. In the very last speech that Rebbe Chonon Wasserman gave in the ghetto, he said that somebody who doesn't understand farming once went to learn vocation. He went to a farmer to teach him the malacha. First, he sees the farmer begin to plow up the field. The student asks, why are you destroying such a nice field? The farmer says, patience, and you'll understand everything. The next day, the farmer takes out a sack full of corn, and he starts throwing it all over. The Talmud says, why are you throwing this stuff out? You could use it. The farmer tells him, have patience, wait and see. After a while, beautiful crops grow. The farmer takes his tools and begins to cut down all the stalks. The student asks, why are you destroying your work? The farmer beats the stalks, separates the chaff from the wheat. The Talmud, the student, is completely baffled. When he separates it, the student still doesn't understand it. But when the farmer begins to grind up the grain, the student cries out, you'll turn all your grain into dust. Finally, when he puts in the water, the student cries out, you're going to drown it all out and flood it. Then he goes to bake it, and the student says, you're going to burn your work up. But when the farmer takes out the beautiful challahs, the student sees it and smells the aroma. Then the student begins to understand all the actions of the farmer. And so too, the great Rebbe Chonon Wasserman says the farmer is a mashal to Hashem. Sometimes it appears that Bnei Israel is beaten. Sometimes we're scattered. Sometimes we're separated. Sometimes they try to ground us up. However, in the Achris Hayomim, in the end of days, we will all realize that all of these actions caused our nation to become great. On Shiva B'Tammuz, we reflect on the greatness of our nation, on all that we have been through, and we realize that our tefillos, our prayers and our hopes are towards the future Beis HaMikdash. May it be rebuilt speedily in our days. Good morning. The great
Ahacheinu kol beis Yisroel. Ahacheinu kol beis Yisroel. Hanesuni batzara uvashivya. Ha'imdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Ahacheinu kol beis Yisroel. Yisrael, Hanesunim batzara uvashivya, Oimdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Amokoim yirachim Beis Yisrael, Hanesuni Batzara, Asara Uvashivya, Ha'imdim Bein Bayam, Ubein Bayabasha. Yirachem Aleichem V'yotziyei Mitzara L'Rvacha U'meyafel Aliyah U'mishibu L'Giyula Hashta B'Gala U'bizman Korim Amar Koim Yirachem Aleichem V'yotziyei Mitzara L'Rvacha U'meyafel Aliyah U'mishibu L'Giyula Hashta B'Gala U'bizman Korim Yirachem Aleichem V'yotziyei Ubizman Kori, Ubizman Kori, Vilomar Amen, Kehayol taharik alafikei moyim. Kehayol taharik alafikei moyim. Kei nafshi saroig. Hey lecho, Eloiki, Ke'ayol Tahri, Alafikei Moyim, Ke'ayol Tahri, Alafikei Moyim, Kei nafshi saroi, Hey lecho, Elohim, Samo nafshi leilakim, lekechoi, Masayovoi, Nafshi saroi, Elecho, Tomo nafshi, nafshi leloikim, nafshi leloikim, lekel choi, mosayovoy, voy v'yehiroeh, b'nei, b'nei, Eloikim. Tomo nafshi, nafshi leloikim, nafshi leloikim, leloikim lekel Nafshi le'lakim, nafshi le'lakim, le'lakim lekecho, oy mosai, oy ve'oeh, b'nei, b'nei, b'nei Elohikim, b'nei.
JM in the AM. It is a Shiva B'Tammuz Fast Day special here at JM in the AM. My thanks again to Shlomo Katz, who spent time with us this hour. Coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, Charlie Harari and Rabbi Ari Khan. Coming up here as we get set for a really, really inspiring hour here at JM in the AM. This portion of NSN programming brought to you by our friends at A&H. Abel's and Hyman Kosher Hot Dog, Sausage, and Deli is the world's best. And now they are at every Trader Joe's nationwide. Try A&H today and enjoy. Our friends at Art Scroll are offering you an amazing deal. If you use promo code RADIO, you can order the Chumash with teachings of the Talmud at 30% off and free shipping. 30% off and free shipping. Also on all weekly Parsha books right now, 30% off if you use promo code RADIO. Go to artscroll.com, artscroll.com, and enjoy. If you haven't yet given us your resume, if you haven't sent in your resume, if you're looking for work or know somebody who's looking for work, send it to resume@nachumsegal.com. Resume@nachumsegal.com. That's how you get us your resume. Resume@nachumsegal.com. Anything in the Jewish not-for-profit executive world, we pass on to our friends at the Joel Poll Group. Otherwise, we try to help in matching up employer and employee during these difficult times. Resume@nachumsegal.com. Tomorrow, weekly update, 7:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Malcolm Homeline, weekly update tomorrow morning, 7:40 a.m. Eastern Time here at JM and the AM. Rabbi Yudin will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Harry Rothenberg on Parshas Pinchas in the 7 o'clock hour. Also, keep in mind, you may want to follow a really nice Twitter feed that I'm going to recommend. You may want to follow a nice Twitter feed, especially if you're into the Jewish calendar. There's a Twitter feed. I want to make sure to get it right here. It's a Twitter feed called Jewish Calendar Tidbits. Jewish Calendar Tidbits. Underneath it says @Tidbits Jewish. But it's known as Jewish Calendar Tidbits. It has a Magen David, a Star of David, at the top. So if you get to that on Twitter, you know you're in the right place. Anyway, Jewish Calendar Tidbits literally gives us calendar tidbits about the Jewish calendar. So it says, for instance, Thursday, starting early tomorrow morning, is 17 Tammuz, a public fast day. But one of the things that Jewish Calendar Tidbits tweeted out earlier in the week, we will not be reading the Haftorah of Pinchas this Shabbat. And that is true. We're going to be reading the Haftorah of Matos this Shabbat because once Pinchas happens after Shavasar B'Tammuz, the first Shabbos after Shavasar B'Tammuz is the first of the three sad Haftorahs. So we'll be reading the first of the three sad Haftorahs this coming Shabbos, and of course, then the second one next Shabbos, and the one for Parshas Dvarim, Shabbos Chazon, that begins with the word Chazon, we will read on the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av. So that's how it works. Anyway, you may want to follow that Twitter feed, Jewish Calendar Tidbits. Jewish Calendar Tidbits. We get a lot of pleasure watching that Twitter feed grow. We want more and more people into the Jewish calendar and all the different things that we do as an interesting people. 10 minutes before 8 o'clock. Hope your fast is going fast. Hope your fast is going well. Feel free to comment on the app. Go to the NSN, Nachum Segal Network app for Android and iPhone and comment away. By the way, we got confirmation yesterday that our friends at the New Springville Jewish Center will be live streaming their Tisha B'Av program on our network. So you'll be able to hear the entire thing right after JM and the AM. A whole series of lectures. We'll get you the exact lineup. But it'll be a whole series of lectures that you'll be able to hear right after JM and the AM on Tisha B'Av morning on the 30th of July. And again, that's being done with our friends at the New Springville Jewish Center on Staten Island. And as we get closer, we'll have more details, and we'll certainly pass those along to you here at JM in the AM. Again, feel free to comment on the app. Go to the NSN, Nachum Segal Network app for Android and iPhone, and comment away. And we will continue with more of our a cappella format here at JM in the AM. And about 8 minutes from now, Charlie Harari is going to join us at JM in the AM.
Ani mamen be'emunah shleima be'vias haMashiach. Ani mamen
Ani mamin be'emunah shleima be'vias haMashiach. Ani mamin v'af al pi she'yismameya im kol zeh achak Eloi b'chol yom she'yovoy. Ani mamin v'af al pi she'yismameya im kol zeh achak Eloi b'chol yom she'yovoy. Ani mamin na
ויף על פי שישמע עם כל זה יחכה לו בכל יום שיבוא ואני מאמין
אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח אני מאמין אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח אני מאמין
ויף על פי שישמע עם כל זה יחכה לו בכל יום שיבוא אני מאמין
יף על פי שישמע עם כל זה אחכה לו בכל יום שיבוא אני מאמין
ויף על פי שישמע עם כל זה יחכה לו בכל יום שיבוא בכל יום שיבוא ויף על פי שישמע עם כל זה יחכה לו בכל יום שיבוא בכל יום שיבוא ויף על פי שישמע עם כל זה יחכה לו בכל יום שיבוא בכל יום שיבוא.
I guess they have to put that sound effect in because the album is actually called A Kumsitz in the Rain. 3 weeks formatted, America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored digital radio. Around the world on the web at NachumSegal.com and the Nachum Segal Network, and of course on the beloved NSN app. Well, I mean, I've spoke to Charlie Harari this morning for about a minute, and already we've come up with a couple of really cool innovations to again tweak his amazing presence here at the Nachum Segal Network, and I thank him for that. By the way, coming up at 9 o'clock, he will be addressing the issue of disappointment. That's his theme for today, so you can catch that between 9 and 9:30 this morning. He also confirmed for me that that Thursday mornings are not the same when you don't have your regular large cup of coffee. Charlie Harari, welcome back to JM in the AM.
Nachum, it's such an honor to be back with you. Thanks for inviting me.
You know, we're turning to you for inspiration. We're turning to you for helping us alleviate this terrible condition that we get on long fast days of thinking about nothing else but food and drink. and yet you openly admitted to me this morning that, you know what, Nachum, not having that cup of coffee makes it a different type of morning.
It's always different without the coffee. It's always different without the coffee.
That's how it usually starts. We're starting the 3 weeks today. I've asked you to come on this morning live and discuss different things on this Shiva Tammuz special, primarily because, funny enough, primarily because of what I just said. We focus so much, not a criticism, it's human nature. We focus so much on a day like today, especially here in this area of the world where Shiva Tammuz is really a long fast. Some would argue the longest, except for the whole overnight thing on Tisha B'Av. And we focus so much on, when will it end? What will we break our fast on? And boy, am I hungry and thirsty. But I guess the reality is, and I'm really turning to you to validate this theory. I guess the reality is that when our rabbis went ahead and followed God's example, because remember, it was Hashem who in the Torah commands us on Yom Kippur to, the first of the things that we don't do on Yom Kippur is eating and drinking. So obviously that became really important when it comes to the traditional public fast day. So when the rabbis went ahead and instituted this, I would assume that they felt that when one cleanses, when one, suffers, quote unquote, the way we do by not eating and drinking for a period of time, it will only help us and enhance our ability to bring more inspiration and more serious subjects into our lives. So the question is, can we in fact move away from this usual mantra of a Yeshiva Tammuz that, boy, it is hot, it is long, and it is hungry, and get to the point where today is a much more meaningful day?
Yeah, I'm so happy you bring it up because this is exactly the avoda. I mean, the goal of fast day is 100% not to be thinking about when is the fast day going to be over. And the goal of the fast day is 100% to be using the time and whatever you feel in which we don't eat towards getting to be better. I think where we really struggle in general is we haven't for some reason been conditioned. I don't know why this happened. I'm spending a lot of time thinking about this. We haven't been conditioned to yearn for a time in which the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt. Like, I don't know when we spend time thinking about how awesome it's going to be when God reveals himself to this world and the entire world's like, what? This is Hashem, we're totally in. Like, there's going to be a time with God's help where, like, when we walk down the streets, people are going to be like, wait, are you really Jewish? Like, can you tell me everything? Because we're all blown away. Because everyone, the whole Berach Lechat Tishtach of it. We're going to, there's going to be, what we have right now isn't it. we all settle for like a little bit of food. Everybody's healthy. There's nobody rioting. No virus keeping us in the houses. Like, if you can pay your bills and live your life, like, there's no more expectations that we're driving towards. And I think this period of time is Hashem's way of saying, like, this is not all you can get. There's so much more in store. You just have to want it. So, like, I need to, like, get your attention. And if you want to get a Jew's attention, you know what you do?
You starve them.
That's it. The only thing that'll get our attention. I mean, God made us. The only thing that we can think about it. The only thing.
In other words, you're saying the 4 worst words in Judaism is what? There's no Kiddush?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about how many people are like focused on Tisha B'Av on God. You think if Tisha B'Av you could eat, anyone would be paying attention, right? Like, you think Yom Kippur, anyone would do tshuva. You think we'd be taking Yom Kippur seriously? If that's like, you know what? At 12 o'clock, you can take a little break. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, listen, guys, I need you to pay attention to this. And so this is why it begins and ends. But I think, like, everyone who's striving for something, you only can get through it if you have something bigger that you're going after.
Yeah. You know,
and if we don't start doing that, we can't.
You know, on the micro scale, you remind me of the, you know, where somebody announces, you know, a big lecture or an Oneg Shabbos coming up with a great speaker, and someone will yell from the back, "What are you serving?" You know, like,
right.
like that's the most important thing. But it's funny because on a macro level, you're raising such an important point, and it's funny because I took very seriously our words with Shlomo Katz earlier this morning about the whole Bein Adam L'Chavero issue and how that is such an important part of, you know, the next 3 weeks, because it's something we need to keep in mind every single day. But, you know, I sort of give the example like Mother's Day, and every day is Mother's Day, but there needs to be a day where you really emphasize it. Same thing, you know, every day is worried about Avos Yisrael and working toward, you know, improving our Avos Yisrael. But obviously during these 3 weeks, it's more, and as we get closer to Tisha B'Av, it's more. But I think you're making such a bigger point, that as important as that is, and I know it's important, the national message, the national yearning that needs to be at this time of year is not there. And sometimes, as much as we are focused on the, you know, important mitzvos and the important concepts that we need to focus on during this time, sometimes we do forget the greater national mission that we have all year round and that we need to be yearning for this time of year. And I would assume that that's what you were referring to.
Yeah, and when that becomes what you want, the suffering, so to speak, along the way becomes different, right? If I'm dieting because I'm part of a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl, me not eating that food is very different than if I'm just a regular person on a regular day. So whatever we're going through impacts, the impact that it has on us is in relation to what our goals are. So if our goals are, I want to stay comfortable my whole life. I don't want to come out of my comfort zone. Oh my gosh, I can't eat. I'm uncomfortable. I'm going out of my mind. When can I get comfortable again? In 6 hours, I can get comfortable again when I eat again. Right. That's when the fast becomes intolerable. But when the fast becomes, I am striving for something greater. I want to see it with my own eyes. I want God to give it to us. When we can put a fast like Shiva B'Tammuz and the 3 weeks and Tisha in context, what would it be worth the price? Would me and you pay 1 day of not eating for a chance to see the Beis Hamikdash? It'd be worth it in a second. But when that's our mentality, this is the least I can do to hope to change what I'm doing to get me closer to the Beis Hamikdash. Then the whole fast is a different meaning. And the whole experience of the next 3 weeks is a different meaning. We're not just waiting for Nachum. Like, this is like the game of, like, it's almost Nachum. I get back in the pool and I can drive around and I can eat meat. We're not waiting for Nachum, because if Nachum comes and we don't have to pay Hamikdash, we lost another year. And it's all about how we perceive this thing.
And it's funny because as you're saying all this, I'm saying to myself, you know, this really does describe the difference between today as a public fast day and Tisha B'Av as the public fast day, because Tisha B'Av is not just a fast day. Tisha B'Av is literally a day of mourning. Tisha B'Av is a day that all of us are, you know, incorporate, you know, Shiva customs into what we do on Tisha B'Av. But today is more about, as you described, is more about, you know, not eating and drinking and just being more aware of, what it is that we're striving for, what it is that we're yearning for. And I think that's a very big difference. On Tisha B'Av, we need to be, sad and thoughtful and behave in a proper manner on that day. Today, it's not a matter of behavior outside of trying not to eat and drink. It's more a matter of, what's going on in our heads and what are we aiming for? What do we hope to accomplish? And I think
this is the beginning.
Yeah. And you need this type of beginning to get to that type of end, frankly.
Absolutely right. This is how it's situated. It's an amazing thing that Chazal has done. You've created this space in time called 3 weeks. And this space is supposed to be a zone that all we're doing is striving. The Shiva Shalom says that in today's day and age, it's the most powerful thing I think I've ever read, and I'll send it to you, Nachum. The Shiva Shalom says that in today's day and age in Golos, we're ready for Geula. We've paid the price. We've gone through the Holocaust. We've gone through the pogroms. We've paid our prices. We're done. We paid the ticket for Geula. But God's waiting for one more thing. We have to want it. That's why what the Yitzhar does to us now is he gives us things that we're like, we settle for mediocrity. We're okay with being in Gullus and nobody hates us. We're okay if there's no anti-Semitism and there's no terrorism and we have enough money. The Yitzhar just feeds us enough. You ever notice why now everything seems to be okay? Our grandparents didn't have this life. Our great-grandparents didn't have this life. For some reason, Gullus is okay for us. And one of the reasons why, and Steve Shalom says, is because he's feeding us enough to keep us comfortable so we don't clamor for Geula. We don't expect more. And God needs that desire to deliver a big present called Geula. So Chazal creates a space in time called 3 weeks. And it opens and it closes with its fast. And they're telling us, listen, I know it's busy and you're running around and you got to take care of your family. I get it. But here's 3 weeks. I want you to think about this. Think about what it must be like. Think about what it would be like to live in Israel with no more wars. Think about what it'd be like when all the cancer wars are shut down. Think about what it'd be like to be able to spend their whole life talking about Hashem. Just think about it for a few weeks. And when we open by being uncomfortable and realize that this isn't our life, and we close, and you know what's amazing is we close in a month called Av. God's like, I don't want you to be sad. I want you to want me. I want you to be focused, right? I'm here. This whole game goes from, I can't wait for it to be over because I'm comfortable, to now I can finally pay attention to what's really important. Yeah, it'll be uncomfortable, but greatness is uncomfortable.
It's funny because, as you mentioned, it ends with a month called Av. It's also the anagram bow to come here and
oh, good. I never thought of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the two of them. One represents our Father, and one represents, come close to our Father, and and show that you want to be close. It's funny that you talk about the what would we do if we were told if you fast, this will happen, or it's funny because in Jewish history we've had some interesting moments. When Esther tells everybody to fast for 3 days, you can only imagine what the reaction was. Like even people who believed that if they fasted for 3 days, the Jews would be saved. Still, we're not very comfortable, as you put it, I'm sure, making that type of commitment. Again, even the believers, find it hard to make that type of commitment. So even today, when you say, you know what, you take a couple of days and you really give them to God and you really set them aside as days that we will work on ourselves and ourselves as a community. Again, we're believers, but it doesn't always feel like it's that we're all in. Let's put it that way.
100%. You know what I always find? I always find Hashem never lowers his expectations for us. Like, he doesn't lower it. He doesn't say, okay, fine, then don't fast. If you're not feeling it today, take this one off.
Right.
Like, I find that to be sort of very consistent with Chazal, with how we live our lives.
A lot of leeway. Chazal, when it comes to these types of fast days, a lot of leeway, right?
But they push us.
Right.
Hashem's pushing us. He wants us. He wants us to step up. I always find when it comes to the Shabbat, sometimes Tisha B'Av, like, you feel like when you're done with God's help, you feel like you ran a marathon.
Right.
Like, you feel like you accomplished. Like, for me at least, I break my fast on coffee.
Right.
Like that's just like, you know,
obviously
the thing that I, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing that's the blood in my veins.
Do you even sleep tonight once that coffee's in you? Like what happens at 10 p.m.?
Are you kidding? My everything. When I say goodbye to coffee or fast day, it's like we're like I'm sending my coffee off to camp. I'm crying. It's the whole thing. So the post fast coffee, and for the coffee drinkers that are listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like the post fast coffee, that first time that you can put your lips to the coffee at 9:30 or whatever at night, it's like your chasana, like it's a simcha, like it's this great.
It's a l'chaim. It's a l'chaim.
It's a l'chaim. It's a real l'chaim. Like, but it's an accomplishment, and you think about would I ever be able to do this but for Judaism? Would I ever be able to do this myself?
Yeah,
even this fast is it brings out so much of who we are. We're one people. We strive together. We're together in ups and downs. Like, you know what I used to love it on Shiva Thomas when I used to go into the city. I used to like see like another Frum Jew walking on the street, and I look at him. He looks at me. He's like, "Yeah, I know." Like we have this like,
right.
you know, like this bond. Like, yeah, I know. We got this.
The club.
4 hours.
The
club, right? Like we're one family. We do this together. We struggle. Tisha B'Av is you see a guy sitting on the floor walking around in like slippers, and like we once we realize that Hashem's not letting up on us. Yeah. Well, if he can't, if the doctor says he can, if the rabbi says he can't, whatever. But I'm saying Hashem's not letting up on us. You know, he expects a lot from us, and we can do it, and we can accomplish it. And when we do, it's going to feel amazing. And then we'll just scale it to the bigger scale of what's really possible for our nation. Achdus, and striving and more passionate Judaism. And you can only imagine what we can accomplish.
You know, it's funny because we see what's going on in this country right now. And some might say that this was inevitable because there's unfortunately not the same level of faith, not the same level of values that we used to have. And I think that that's a safe, parv, legitimate discussion. You know, a lot of discussions today you can't have, especially publicly. But I think that's a safe, parv, legitimate discussion that as values and as faith has diminished, we've seen a certain direction in this country. But what you just described, the simple fast day, that's what keeps us going. That's one of the reasons we are so faithful and full of values, because these things that we are told to do physically and these things that we take upon ourselves to inspire and enhance our spiritual lives through the physical really help us keep that level of emunah, frankly, of emunah, of faith, and the values that we have. And I think it's a really important message. I'm not telling people that they can't, eat if they feel they can't make it through the fast. Obviously, any rabbi would tell them to do so. But I think one of the reasons why it's encouraging to bring our kids up in this type of environment is that, we actually go ahead and sacrifice for the cause, so to speak. We actually show that we are ready to physically, give of ourselves to make ourselves and our community better.
Absolutely. And that's exactly the point, is that when we push ourselves, we realize how much we can accomplish and how much we can give. There's a great man who passed away recently. His name is Eugene Gluck.
Yep.
And I'm close to his family. And after Shiva, they sent me a video, it's an incredible video. And the video is of him at the end of his life. He was getting, less and less able to do things like fasting. And he had called the doctor to see if he can fast on Yom Kippur. And there's a video of him in a walker. And somebody who is not in the video apparently gets the call and says, you can fast. I spoke to the doctor, you can fast on Yom Kippur. And you see this man dance. And he's dancing, I can fast on Yom Kippur. And he is dancing in his 90s.
I believe it.
Because he gets to fast. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people would be, what, are you crazy on Yom Kippur in your 90s? Because when you do it and you're part of it and this is your people and you're willing to sacrifice and you learn you feel the meaning to what that's like. You feel the connection to Hashem by giving him a little bit of food. God gives us food in a way that our ancestors never had food. We eat so much. We have so much available to us. We get a chance to give it back to him once in a while and say, by the way, for you, I'm going to hold back. And if we look at it like that, This is, but and by the way, there's a tefillah like this. In the Gemara Brachos, it says, and we do this in some of the Siddurim. When you take on I don't know if I don't know if you do it on a public fast day, but especially if you ever do it on a private fast day, there's a tefillah you say where you say, Hashem, in Tan's Beis Hamikdash, we gave korban, and it would burn up the fats, and it would and now I can't give you a korban, so I've burned up my fat. I've held back food for me. So please see what I've done to my body, as if I gave you korban. It's an actual tefillah that the Amaram used to say.
Wow.
When we see it that way, we're giving you a sacrifice, Hashem. That sacrifice is me, and I believe in you, and I'm with you. And you want me to be focused today on you? I'm in. That mentality makes what we're doing meaningful. There's a purpose to the fast. So not just counting down to eat again. Every time you feel a little hungry, it's a korban to Hashem, who gives us so much.
Yeah, those hunger pangs are worthwhile. They are worthwhile.
Yeah.
Charlie Harari helping us be inspired on the Shiva B'Tama special. 2 off-topic questions to wrap up our conversation, if you don't mind. We're living in crazy times. I'm not asking you for a political commentary. I'm just asking for your confirmation that it is sad that our children, and I mean the community's children, are not, generally speaking, I know some are, but you get my point, generally speaking, are not in overnight summer camps this year.
Yeah, it's super sad. It's heartbreaking.
A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people don't get the education, the social aspect, the growth in every. We can name any area, and you can attach the word growth to it, because it's growth in every important area of life and every important area of Jewish life. And
and there's research behind this. The power of immersion, what goes on in camp, how much the kids grow, how much they need it. It's sad that the kids today, this summer, don't have summer camp.
I don't know if you know this, because some people, by chance in life will encounter some people like this and others will not. But I have seen children over the years who during the year are really not sociable, don't talk a lot in group settings, and in camp they're like the camp superstars. So it's amazing just from that aspect how important that environment is for our children.
Yeah, I sat in camps where these kids, who, if their father would ever sing a zemer in their house, if he would utter the beginning of Ma, they would just shoot him down. Like, are you crazy? Like, the thought of a dad sitting around in Gospel opening up a bencher and singing a zemer would be like, forget it. And then they get to camp, and within 2 seconds, they're on top of some bench screaming like their lungs out. It's
Exactly.
There's so many great camps, but in particular, there's one that I know you know well, which is Camp Kaylee, where I've been there, and like you see, it's miraculous what some of these kids do.
Yeah.
So at every camp, it's not just Camp Kaylee, but it's all the different camps that are really giving these kids this incredible outlet. It is sad, and I hope that
our world has been COVIDed, Charlie. We've been COVIDed for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
And
living in crazy times.
And not to harp on it, but I got to wrap up with this because I'm just so curious. When I have a cup of coffee after 3 p.m., I cannot fall asleep that night. How do you have a cup of coffee at 10 o'clock tonight? Explain it to me.
I go to bed. One of the lessons that I do before I go to sleep is a cup of coffee.
Why? It doesn't make sense. I'm telling you, I got to be careful after 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, you have to change your relationship to it. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be part of who you are.
So right now, coffee has it over me. I need to have it over coffee. That's basically what you're saying. I'm caving into the coffee Nachum battle. I'm completely caving in on my side.
You own the coffee. You can determine when you have the coffee. You don't have to worry about it.
And good news for you, my friend. You're 13 hours away from that cup of coffee.
It's a shame.
I can't thank you enough.
Can't wait.
I can't thank you enough. Thanks so much for joining us this morning in an easy fast, a meaningful fast, and just a fast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And continue doing your wonderful work, Nachum. You're bringing us up, you're inspiring us, and you're making us bigger people every single day. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Charlie Harari on the topic of disappointment coming up during Unlocking Greatness. That's at 9 o'clock this morning, just 35 minutes from now, right here at the Nachum Segal Network. Plenty more happening on a Thursday, Shiva B'Tama. I want to thank my friends at World Mizrahi. They are carrying this special live. You can go to youtube.com/World Mizrahi. Essentially, You won't be seeing or hearing anything. You'll be hearing the entire show. You won't see anything exciting except me actually in the NSN studios here in New York. So that might be exciting to you. So thank you to World Mizrahi for carrying us today. YouTube.com/World Mizrahi. You could also go to Mizrahi.org/3 weeks. THREE. Mizrahi.org/3 weeks. Click on the JM Name Shavasar B'Tammuz special, and you'll see it live as well. More coming up, including Rabbi Ari Khan. You are listening to a Shavasar B'Tammuz special at JM in the AM.
Liros b'tuv Hashem, Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim, Lulei Emati, Liros b'tuv Hashem, Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim, Lulei Emati, Liros b'tuv Hashem, Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim, Lulei Emati, Liros b'tuv Hashem, Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim. Oreini Hashem, Darkecha, Unecheini, V'orach Mishar. Oreini Hashem, Darkecha, Unecheini, V'orach Mishar. Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim, Lulei Emati, Liros b'tuv Hashem, Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim, Lulei Emati, Liros b'tuv Hashem, Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim, Lulei Emati, Liros b'tuv Hashem, Liros b'tuv Hashem, B'yeretz Chayim. Oreini Hashem, Darkecha, Unecheini, V'orach Mishar. Oreini, 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 Darkecha,
JM in the AM, our Shavasar B'Tammuz special. That's from Leif Dahar. Let's keep in mind as we introduce Rabbi Khan that he is deep into the fast because he's in Israel as well, as Shlomo Katz was. and is. They are deep into the fast, and we'll take that into consideration as we thank him for joining us this morning. Rabbi Ari Khan is a rabbi, author, and educator. He is director of the Foreign Student Programs at Bar Ilan University in Israel, senior lecturer in Jewish studies, serves as rabbi of the Mishkan Etro community in Givat Zev, has authored 10 books on Jewish thought, including the highly acclaimed Echoes of Eden series, has published hundreds of articles on Torah and Jewish thought, and has been an amazing behind the scenes and sometimes in front of the scenes advisor and friend to us here at JM in the AM and the Nachum Segal Network. Rabbi Ari Khan, welcome back to JM in the AM.
Thank you. You have to update the intro there. I have more than 10 books already.
Well, what's that? What number are we at now?
I don't know. I have to count. Believe, like sorry, but Bli Ayin Hara.
Bli Ayin Hara. Who counts? Who counts? Come on.
Who counts? But a new one actually was published yesterday.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So we can wish you Mazel Tov on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. How ironic is that?
Not only that, you can buy it and see it long before I will.
Because in America it's available and where you are it's not?
Yeah, and then who knows when they're going to ship it.
That's funny. What's the name of it?
I'll make you a shliach. It's called Crowns on Letters. It's on Agadot.
You're amazing. First of all, I think you'll find it funny or ironic that our very own Avrami Finkelstein, who is always on top of our program schedule here at the Nachum Segal Network, so every week he chooses a show from our past to air on Throwback Thursday, which is 1 p.m. Eastern time here on this network. And today I get the note from him that the Throwback Thursday is a Shiva Asar B'Tammuz program from, let's see here, a Shiva Asar B'Tammuz program from July 2011, and Rabbi Ari Khan was the special guest. How do you like that? So if you want to see how different you think 9 years earlier, you could tune into yourself later on tonight.
Wow. Yeah. Well, if you ask the same question, I'll probably give the same answer.
I hope so. That would be the height. That would be the greatest compliment. The height of consistency. So Rabbi Khan, today is Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. There have been many days of tragedy. There have been many days there are many anniversaries and days of tragedy in Jewish tradition, and obviously we all get that the day of the actual destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple, should be commemorated, and certainly the way we do, as a day of mourning, a day of fasting, and many other restrictions. How did Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, when again, unfortunately, our calendar is so full of dates that we could cite in terms of tragic dates in Jewish history, how did Shiva Asar B'Tammuz become a date that became not just a public fast day, but I think we could all say, at least the way we treat it these days, a serious public fast day in our tradition?
Well, I think the proximity to Tisha B'Av, in the sense that we have, that it's the introduction to Tisha B'Av, which means had Tisha B'Av not existed and we would just have the 17th of Tammuz by itself, I seriously doubt it would have the same gravitas. I think it's that perceived connection, which is actually, in terms of halacha, stronger with Ashkenazim than Sfaradim, although I think the connection is very clear in our minds, and it's clear in the Talmud as well, that speaks of this 3-week period as being something which is a whole period. No matter what, if you're allowed weddings at this point or not, I don't know if that's in your mind at all. Sfaradim still allow weddings right now.
Right, and that would go till when? Till the 9 days, or till Shavuot Shachar?
Till Rosh Chodesh.
Rosh Chodesh Av. And we go ahead and we observe a day like today, and again, I think it's different from Tisha B'Av, because Tisha B'Av is more of the day of mourning. I think today we're certainly, as opposed to the sadness of the period that's starting, it's more commemorating an important date. Is the reason that public days like this, the restriction is fasting? Is it because when God tells us to restrict ourselves on an important day, obviously meaning Yom Kippur, the first thing he mentions is eating and drinking? Is that the reason that has become the primary thing when it comes to commemorating days like this? Because you could think, in all seriousness, there could be other ways for human beings to commemorate, a day like this. I mean, just what some people do sometimes is, restrict themselves from speaking at Tanis Dibor. You could see that custom could have been, the way we go ahead and acknowledge days like this, behaving differently in our manner of speech. Why has eating and drinking gotten to the point where that's the main thing when it comes to a public commemoration day like this?
Yeah, well, if you look at things in terms of the Mishnah and the Gemara, you'll see that it's the fourth chapter of Ta'anit, which, by the way, for you is a Ta'anit or Ta'anis. I don't know what to speak when I speak to you
all
overseas.
Of them. All of them.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. That when, if you look at the Mishnah and then the Gemara, you'll see that all of the events of Shiva Tammuz and of Tisha B'Av come in the fourth chapter, following on right after the first three chapters that deal with other types of fasting, for lack of rain, other things like that.
Right.
So already that sensibility was already put inside the Mishnah itself, although there were people who felt that this day should be stronger, that all the four fast days should be the same as Tisha B'Av and by extension as Yom Kippur, not just in terms of food, but they felt that the other things of Enoi should be included as well, and that was seen to be a bit excessive and too much for the average person, that Tzibur wouldn't have accepted it. We have a hard enough time just with Yom Kippur, and Tisha B'Av, so there was not a sensibility that we would do those as well.
Does that officially go under the umbrella of Tircha Tzibura? Yeah. It does.
It's like Tircha,
because this is
something which the Tzibur couldn't accept. Yeah.
Because this is a topic you and I have discussed in the past, and it's funny because the number one, I mean, it is amazing to me. Thank God that our great rabbis decided that it was too excessive, and that Yom Kippur restrictions more than once or twice a year would be too difficult for the community. But in addition to that, when one looks objectively, and I'm not comparing it to other religions right now, although it's really easy to do that, right? It's easy to do that in this era. But when one looks at our tradition, the way things operate, it is shocking that we don't have more public fast days. When you know how Judaism has evolved and how our rabbis view the need for commitment of these types of restrictions in order to improve ourselves, in order to, as we discussed with Charlie Harari a few minutes ago, to achieve a national goal, or yearn at least for a national goal, it is shocking that I could honestly see where, during the entire 9 days, we are told, fast till sunset, fast till, or whatever, till Tzeis, whatever it is. And that could have happened in our tradition. Are you surprised sometimes that we don't have more of these days in our calendar?
Well, knowing the connection that Jews have with food, I'm shocked that we have this many. So I think there's a counter to that argument.
I still think the way our tradition operates, it's shocking the other way. Right?
Yeah. Well, no. There is this sensitivity. Again, it's interesting to learn philosophy out of halacha. It's something which Rabbi Soloveitchik spoke about at the end of a book that nobody ever read. I'm exaggerating, called The Halachic Mind, and I think 4 people understood it. Like, you needed a doctorate in the philosophy of science to understand it. But at the end, he spoke about what he felt was authentic Jewish philosophy, which emerges out of halacha, and understanding what halacha asks of us, requires of us, expects of us, and so on. And the fasting itself is interesting, but I remember years ago I was talking to somebody who I consider to be a religious family, and they said, yeah, every year on Tanit Esther, we all have off, so we go off on a family hike.
Right.
And I just thought that was just so inappropriate. It's like, yes, the fasting is important, but it's not the main thing.
Right.
The main thing is obviously the feeling that we have. But what halacha actually, if you look at poskim, at least the last 500 years, they sense that they need to lighten this, and they can't make more, and they can't, and they're very hesitant to make fast days because they feel that people just can't handle it. The Briskers, by the way, were especially strict about not wanting to have fast days, and Reb Chaim was encouraged people not to fast as much as possible.
Interesting.
Because, among everything else, how can you learn if you're fasting?
Right.
So a whole day of Bittul Torah is something which is justified.
Like you alluded to me off the air, how does one learn Daf Yomi without a cup of coffee? Almost impossible. Yes. Rabbi Ari Khan is with us. By the way, it's funny you say that, and this is not a criticism, it's an observation. I am sometimes shocked, based on what I know about people around me, I am sometimes shocked at who does fast on days like today and who does not fast, who takes it very lightly days like today. And I think that's interesting to see who's committed to make sure to never ever eat on a public fast day, all of them. And to those to whom, they give their Yom Kippur and they'll sacrifice their day for Tisha B'Av, but the others are not of much interest to them.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's interesting. And, especially today, and maybe especially in Israel, there is this sensibility, which I'll call a common sensibility, of what do you need Shavuos B'Tammuz anymore? I mean, we have Israel, we have Jerusalem. What do we need these things for? And I think that there is this ideological position against it as well. And I'll admit something, which I shouldn't, but I will, that obviously today in the situation with Corona and so on, who should fast and who shouldn't fast is not a very simple discussion.
Right.
And I've been involved in discussing with colleagues, and I was asked to give psak for various organizations and so on. And it was not a simple thing. And one of the things in my mind was that we need to be lenient for everybody who needs leniency, who we're concerned about in terms of health. And obviously health comes first. But there was this thought that if we're too lenient across the board, there was one rabbi who said to me, listen, Kiva Eger said during the time of a cholera epidemic, you get rid of the fast day. You want to get rid of the fast day. I said, but we can't do that. I just felt it's too much. But in the back of my mind were all those people who don't fast anyway, and what would happen next year? They say, listen, last year there was an epidemic, they canceled it. Obviously, it's not so important. So even when we cancel it, I still think it's important for people to come over and ask for psak.
Then why did it work in that era? In other words, if certain people felt that we in the diaspora should have not had a second day of Yontif this year on Pesach because of the isolation issue, because of the and other issues as well. I should be careful how I say this. Not that we should have abolished second day, that we should have been much more lenient when it came to certain elderly people about what they can and can't do on the second day Yontif. I should make sure I'm careful how I say that. And those of us who felt that our leaders, our rabbinic leaders, should do that, and again, not questioning, just hoping that they would have taken that direction, and they did not. Do you suspect that was their motive, that they were just concerned about quote unquote next year? And if that's the case, why did it work in the era of Rabbi Akiva Eger?
Well, first of all, Rabbi Akiva Eger, nobody had Facebook or Twitter, so things were isolated in terms of how widespread it would be. It would have been very localized.
Good point.
Today, things spread and very, very different. I think that rabbis probably were very lenient when it came to individuals asking questions, but they would not in terms of public policy, because the public policy takes a life upon itself.
It's funny. I had a conversation with Rav Schechter about the topic of music during Sphira, because the rumor was going around that, because of the depression, not a clinical term, just a general term, that people were citing in terms of the whole mood. I mean, COVID mood, I'm sure in Israel was very similar. Here in the month of the Nisan and Iyar was a disaster, with so many people in our community and around the country just, literally passing away. And it was very, and he had, I'm sure you saw this, it was in writing, he had said that, those for whom, just for their own mental health, it'll be, beneficial. A rabbi could certainly allow somebody to go ahead and listen to what we would call regular music, etc. But he said to me, he doesn't think that decision is a community-wide decision. That's not something that he would recommend for our network, for instance, to make that change. We should still have that demarcation of, of the middle part of Sphira sounding different than our regular format. And that's basically what you're saying, that today in this era, if someone of prominence makes a certain decision, it could just spread like wildfire, and every community will say, and I'm just thinking, it's funny. I live in a neighborhood with one of, if not the greatest halachic decisor on planet Earth, here on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And I know for a fact that that people were, asking many questions at that time, and the rabbinic leader would say, that psak was made with a specific community in mind, with a specific question that was brought to me. And in general, it is not my role to make psak or to decide things for other communities. But if I'm consulted by a rabbi of that community, I'm going to give a certain opinion. And you're so right that just the environment we're in now would lead to what people like to say the Wild West out there, in terms of, things getting around and things not being followed properly.
Let me say a couple of things about that. I was very polite. I let you speak. You see that? It's your show, and I let you speak.
Thank you.
I'm a nice. That's why you invite me back. Okay.
every 9 years.
A couple of thoughts. One, Rav Shechter just now published something in terms of music during the 3 weeks, and and my sense is that he was even more lenient.
Right.
Which is counterintuitive because Syria is not as serious as the 3 weeks is.
Right.
That's one thing. Secondly, even in previous years for my students, I allowed them to listen to music on their iPods or whatever it
privately.
is that they listen to privately. Right. And my reason for this is that personal music, and I'm not sure if Poskim have caught up to this, really talking to kids and looking at kids and listening to them, that a kid listening to personal music is nothing to do with a wedding, nothing to do with dancing, nothing to do with happiness. It is a way of them to numb the world around them. And if this did lead to happiness, we would have the happiest generation that ever existed. And unfortunately, that's not the case at all. And therefore, I see zero correlation between a person listening to music privately versus what Chazal, not even Chazal, I mean, honestly, we're going back to the Pri Megadah of the Magen Avraham, but even what they were talking about is the kind of music which is wedding type of music, which could lead to dance. So this is just so far removed from that I don't even know what to say. But as far as things spreading, my father called me the other day and said somebody, I don't want to say who, somebody told him that I said that there is that I'm trying to remember exactly, that nobody had to fast on Shavuos B'Tammuz. So I asked him, so he told me who. And I'm thinking, if I'd even talk about it yet by the time he called me. And I said, I'll tell you what it was. It was, I wrote something regarding Tainis B'choros Erev Pesach, and I said, being that the minhag is not to fast, I mean, honestly, do you know anybody who fasts?
No.
The minhag is not to fast.
Right.
The minhag is to go to a siyum.
Right.
The minhag is to do something and not to fast. So I said, therefore, everybody can rely on a siyum over Zoom or over something else. Because anyway, the minhag is not to fast. So from that, somebody took that somehow I said that you don't have to fast on Shavuot B'Tammuz.
Wow.
So like I explained this to him what I said. He goes, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." I was trying to figure out what's far that maybe because of Corona, this that. So as I said, I didn't go that far.
Yeah, I hear it. Rabbi Ari Khan is with us. We are doing our Shavuos B'Tammuz special, as we call it here at JM in the AM. Later on today at 1 p.m., the JM in the AM that we repeat for Throwback Thursday actually has Rabbi Khan with us doing the Rabbi Khan with us from 9 years ago, also appearing on Shavuos B'Tammuz. Finally, Rabbi Khan, we will not be reading the Haftorah of Parshas Pinchas this week. Oh, by the way, I meant to ask you, because again, we've spoken about, I asked my kids this question last week, because you and I have spoken about Tircha de Tzibura, not, I'm trying to think how I would translate Tircha de Tzibura, not inconveniencing the public, not inconveniencing the congregation. Do you think that just like we read two Parshios certain weeks, I know you didn't, but we did last Shabbat, do you think there was ever a push to read two Haftorahs during those weeks?
There were some localized customs that either read two or some verses from a second one when there were situations like that. But again, when it comes down to it, there's no chiyuv to read the Haftarah akin to the chiyuv of reading all the parshas in the Torah.
So there's a chiyuv on the, and that's why we do it. We inconvenience everyone by having a double parsha, because there's a chiyuv on the congregation to make sure that every parsha is read.
Yeah, look, the Gemara has a couple of things that you have to get to, which means the way that the cycle of reading that we have, the Babylonian cycle, as opposed to the one in Eretz Yisrael, the minhag of Bavel to finish the Torah every year, has certain things built into it. So therefore, we need to get to Parshas Dvarim right before Tisha B'Av. So therefore, that's one of the times we're going to catch up. Which is that no one was ever concerned about people traveling from place to place. Nobody ever cared about that, because that just wasn't a reality. But that was a reality. We need to have Parshat Dvarim, and the Tochacha needs to be, back at the end of Ikra. That needs to be before Shavuos, and the other Tochacha needs to be Rosh Hashanah. So there were things which were built into the system that really had to come out that way, and those are the reasons that they make the changes, or load up on double, and they don't try to catch up immediately.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the things that should be done. They should try to at least endeavor to catch up much earlier than they do now.
Thank you. We should be doing whatever Israel does. That's in my opinion, at least. And I don't even know I don't even know. And again, I'm not a rabbi, but I'm just conjecturing and thinking out loud. I don't even know what the problem would be with adding, if we don't mind double parshios, as a Tirchut Tzibura problem, why not on Achron Shel Pesach just read the reading for the Achron Shel Pesach and the reading of the Parsha they're reading in Israel that day? Like, I don't get that. Like, why not just...
The twin brother of Tirchut Tzibura is Simchas Yom Tov. It would definitely take away your simcha. You want to get to the brisket.
I guess you're right about that. So finally, no Parshas Pinchas Haftorah this week. We will read the Haftorah of Parshas Matos. And the reason is because the three sad Haftorahs have to be read in succession before Tisha B'Av. And that has, again, I don't know where it falls in terms of the Dvarim requirement that you just mentioned, but it sounds like it's pretty serious that we have to make sure to get those three in on the three consecutive Shabbatot before Tisha B'Av.
Yeah, there's a psikta that talks about these three and then the seven of Nechama afterwards. And yes, so this is also something which is built into the system and needs to be expressed at that point. I mean, I do want to say one thing about Shavas B'Tammuz.
Sure.
And that is that essentially, if you look at the things that happened, it's about a loss of holiness. It's not just national identity. It's about a loss of holiness from the very beginning, from the breaking of the luchos to the walls of Jerusalem being broken, and so on. It's about holiness, and that's something which I think that we need to focus on, is that protecting the holy in our lives, and maybe especially this year, when we haven't been able to go to our shuls, our batei midrash, and the holy places that are sacred and important to us, have not that something's happened to them, but something's happened to us that we're able to go there, and it's the issue of holiness in our lives. That's really the change that took place. Yochanan Zakkai had this incredible challenge. What do we do in a world which has lost all that holiness from Yerushalayim to the Ezra's Nachum, to the Beis Hamikdash, to the very center there, Kodesh Kadoshim, the Sanhedrin, everything there, and we lost all of that. So now, how do we somehow try to replace that? And that was part of the challenges the rabbis had in that generation. We're not looking right now for permanent changes take place, but at least we need to have that sensitivity, and I think that's really part of what the focus or the avoda on this day should be about.
And to tie together what you just said with some of the things we mentioned earlier, one of the things we've learned in 2020 firsthand, for those of us living in this country, is when there is a diminishing of faith, values, and holiness, there's not much left, and society deteriorates to a really, really bad point. So we have a job. We have a job to keep our faith, our values, and as you just recommended, our holiness as intact as possible, to our benefit, the Jewish world's benefit, the future of the Jewish people's benefit, and frankly, for the world's benefit.
Absolutely.
Tadar Rabba, Rabbi Khan. And an easy fast.
Have you two meaningful fast, and maybe Tisha B'Av will be playing happy music, and we'll have a happy conversation then.
That would be amazing. Rabbi Ari Khan, everybody, on this Shavas B'Tammuz special here at JM in the AM. A fast, meaningful, and inspirational fast for everybody. Yeah, we wish you a fast, an inspiring fast, and a meaningful fast. And we'll start closing out our broadcast with more of our 3 weeks format. We are staying with the a cappella 3 weeks format here at JM in the AM, even with all the discussion we've had about possibly altering things during this challenging year. You're listening to JM in the AM. I want to thank our friends at World Mizrahi carrying us on their YouTube channel this morning as part of their 3 weeks presentation and their special programming designated for the 3 weeks, the 9 days, and Tisha B'Av. And you're listening to JM in the AM.
ברוח נכון חדש לב טהור ורעי אלוקי ברוח נכון
Lev tahor berali Elokim Veruach nachon chadesh behekirbi Veruach nachon chadesh behekirbi Chadesh behekirbi Al tashlicheni
JM in the AM. This portion of NSN programming brought to you by our friends at A&H. Abels and Hyman Kosher Hot Dog Sausage and Deli is the world's best. Now available at every Trader Joe's nationwide. Check it out today. Also, a reminder from our friends at Art Scroll, 30% off and free shipping on the Chumash with teachings of the Talmud if you use promo code radio. Also, all weekly Parsha books, 30% off if you use promo code radio. Go to artscroll.com, use promo code radio. Achenu Yisrael and Achim Achem, our brothers and sisters in Israel, we are with you. It's your favorite America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored digital radio. Around the world, the web at NachumSegal.com and the Nachum Segal Network, and, of course, on the beloved NSN app. Wraps up a Thursday Shiva B'Tammuz at JM in the AM. Full schedule, by the way. Encore presentations coming up from Charlie Harari. Michael Fragan will have a new broadcast. Allison Josephs will have the Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem. Miriam L. Wallach will have Rabbanit Rivka Segal on the book Living Tehillim. Lots of great material today on Shiva B'Tammuz to stay tuned for here at the Nachum Segal Network. No live lunch, but at 1 o'clock Throwback Thursday, we'll go back to Shiva B'Tammuz from 9 years ago. And then, of course, plenty more all through the day. Tomorrow morning, we're back. Malcolm Hoenlein will join us, Executive Vice Chairman of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, for the weekly update tomorrow morning right here at JM in the AM. Have an easy fast, everybody, and a fabulous Thursday. Till tomorrow, Nachum Segal reminding you, remember the past, live the present, and trust the future.